King Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 27th of March 2025. From the news section. Barhead man caught with weapons near Rangers game. This is an exclusive article written by Esther Tarney and it's being read by me, Connie. A teenager who was caught with weapons near a Rangers game claims the offences were unrelated because he doesn't like football. Police were on patrol on the south side at 4 p.m. on August 17th last year in relation to the game between Rangers and St Johnstone, which took place at Hampden Park later that day. They were approached by members of the public who told them about people in a common close. Cops looked around and, on the stairs, they saw 3 men. They were sheepish, so the officers asked to speak to them. 3 men made off, but after a short chase, Declan Brown was apprehended. When speaking to the police, they saw an item in his trousers waistband which they described as an ice pick. It had various pointed edges. The Barhead resident was restrained to the ground and searched. A black-handled knife with a 5-inch blade was also found. Brown was taken to the police station and arrested. He replied, "I'm sorry." The 20-year-old appeared in Glasgow Sheriff Court last week after he pleaded guilty to being in possession of the 2 weapons. Sheriff Alan McKay observed, "This man has a previous conviction." Brown's lawyer responded, "The various items were taken from a premises. He accepts responsibility. It's a recent previous conviction. He was 16 at the time." Sheriff McKay asked, "Am I to believe that this is not related to football? I am concerned about the organised nature of this." The solicitor replied, "Yes, he doesn't like football and does not watch it." The report says it was impulsive. The sheriff disagreed. "No way. He came from Barhead to the south side of Glasgow on the day that Rangers were playing at St Johnstone. I am massively concerned about this type of conduct. This is not impulsive. There is a degree of planning here. I am taking into account your young age, but this was premeditated. If he was 10 years older, there would not have been any alternative to custody." The lawyer confirmed Brown has distanced himself from this group. He was sentenced to 1 year of supervision and 180 hours of unpaid work. He was also tagged for 90 days, which means he will need to stay at home between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. each day. Sheriff McKay told him, "If you breach this order, I will send you to custody." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was an exclusive article written by Esther Tarney, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times on Thursday the 27th of March 2025. From the news section. Cambuslang bar manager's nose scarred for life after attack by punters. This article has been written by Connor Gordon and it's being read by me, Corey. A man and his girlfriend's mother who brutally attacked a bar manager were ordered to pay him £1,250 in compensation. Trey Morrison, 24, and Caroline Harper, 47, pounced on Stephen D. Piola at the Newton Arms in Cambuslang on February 25th, 2023. The pair and their family had refused to go at shutting time. Harper of Cambuslang punched Mr. Di Paolo, who had got on top of her husband, Stuart Harper. Morrison then punched Mr. Di Paolo on the head as he fell to the ground. Morrison went back 3 times to attack Mr. Di Paolo while he lay on the floor hurt. Mr. Di Paolo was left with a string of injuries, including a scar for life to his nose. Harper and Morrison pled guilty at Glasgow Sheriff Court to assaulting Mr. Di Paolo to his injury. Stuart Harper, 48, and his other daughter's boyfriend, John Wallace, 25, had their not guilty pleas accepted by the court. Sheriff Barry Divers imposed a direct alternative to custody upon Harper and Morrison at today's sentencing. Harper was ordered to do 180 hours of unpaid work and told to pay Mr. Di Paolo £500. She was also be under supervision for 1 year. I apologise, that's how the sentence is written. Morrison, meantime, was given 270 hours of unpaid work and tagged for 45 days, keeping him indoors between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. He will pay Mr. Di Paolo £750 and was put under supervision for 1 year. We previously reported that the court heard that the Harpers and their family were asked to leave at midnight, as the pub had shut. Prosecutor Lauren Aitkinson said there was a disagreement of sorts about leaving. She said during the disturbance, Mr. Di Paolo ended up on top of Stuart Harper. Caroline Harper repeatedly punched Mr. Di Paolo to the head and body. Caroline Harper then took Di Paolo to the ground. Ms. Aitkinson added, Morrison became involved and assaulted Mr. Di Paolo by punching him to the head while he was on the way to the ground. He went back on 3 separate occasions to punch Mr. Di Paolo on the head and body while on the ground. The attackers fled the scene and Mr. Di Paolo was taken to hospital. He was found to have suffered a wound to the bridge of his nose, which was treated and will leave him with a permanent scar. Mr. Di Paolo also sustained bruises to his face and eye area. Linda Finlay, defending Harper, told the court she accepts full responsibility for her actions during the incident. She has expressed regret and embarrassment and has given insight on the impact of the victim because of this incident. Her full-time employment is now in jeopardy because of the incident. Des Zillo, defending Morrison, stated that his client's senior role at DHL has been reduced with his employment at the company also at risk. The lawyer said of the new dad, he doesn't shy away that he caused the worst of the victim's injuries. He is embarrassed and has caused embarrassment to his family. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Connor Gordon, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 27th of March 2025. From the news section. Glasgow councillor claims more needs done to clean up the city. This is an exclusive article written by Amanda Keenan, and it's being read by me, Corey. A councillor has accused Glasgow City Council chiefs of trying to hoodwink the public over the recruitment of a raft of new cleansing roles. A Freedom of Information request obtained by the Glasgow Times shows that plans to bring in 150 new positions in street cleaning and another 50 across parks and recreation will only return combined staffing levels across those areas and refuse collection to the same as they were in 2017. Council chiefs, however, insist that they listened to locals when budget priorities were set and prioritised cleaning up the city's streets and green spaces, as opposed to looking to bolster the number of refuse collection workers they employ. Councillor Paul Carey, BEM, claims the local authority is not being transparent with the public after it trumpeted the recruitment drive as a bold move to clean up the city. The elected member for Drumchapel and Anniesland says that more clarity is required as to why cash wasn't also invested in bolstering the city's refuse collection service. He added, "The administration is claiming to be advertising for roles that will mean hundreds of extra workers for cleansing. But, in reality, all they're doing is getting back to where they were 8 years ago across the board. I accept that the new posts in street scene will mean more people working there than in 2017. But when you look at the drop in dedicated refuse collection employees, we are back at the status quo. There are rats on our streets. There needed to be investment in both street cleaning and refuse services. There has been years of gradual cuts that led to the need to recruit this drastic way. So to hail just bringing the figures back to where they were is hoodwinking people." He added, "The figures are there in black and white, and the council is also employing more agency workers than ever before to plug the gaps." The data within the FOI show that in the financial period for 2017-2018, there were 608 refuse collection workers employed by the local authority, alongside 462 people within its street scene team, which deals with cleaning roads and pavements. This figure rose to 648 and 506 respectively the following year, but has been gradually reduced. The number of people employed in refuse fell to 637 and 615 over the next 2 years, before 559 in 2022/2023. This decreased to 527 over the next 12 months, and sat at just 502 last month. The current number of employees within the street scene team sits at 388, according to the document, although the council insists agency staff have boosted this number to around 420. The number of agency staff working across refuse collection and waste disposal have risen from 54 in 2017 to 122 in September of last year. GMB Union Cleansing Convener Chris Mitchell has welcomed the recruitment drive but warned that the progress made must not be lost. He said, "I know that there are a lot of people who work in cleansing who are due to retire this year and next. What can't be allowed to happen is that their roles aren't immediately filled. Otherwise, the extra manpower we are bringing in will just be eaten back up. I have been vocal in my welcoming of these 200 new roles to bolster cleaning and street cleaning across Glasgow at a time when it is needed most. But we need to make sure that the positive progress that is required to tidy this city up is maintained." A council spokesperson added, "The agency staff currently working in our street cleansing team are in addition to the permanent staff and are paid from the existing budget for this service. The council's recent budget agreed there should be significant investment in frontline environmental services. This investment reflects the feedback received from Glasgow residents through our household survey on what issues should be treated as a priority. The funding allocated will go towards 200 new staff across our street cleansing and park operations, but also additional pest controllers, waste enforcement officers, and road staff. We are currently undertaking a recruitment drive to ensure these posts are filled as quickly as possible, and new staff can get to work on tackling the environmental issues that matter to our citizens. Anyone interested in taking on one of these frontline posts can apply through My Job Scotland or find out more on the council's website." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was an exclusive article written by Amanda Kieran, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Thursday the 27th of March 2025. From the news section. Teens charged in possession of machetes following disturbance. This article was written by Amy Miles and it's being read by me, Corey. 2 teenagers have been charged with allegedly carrying weapons in Coatbridge's town centre. Police were called to Main Street at 1:10 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th, following reports of a disturbance. A 14-year-old and a 16-year-old were arrested in connection with the possession of machetes. Police confirmed there were no injuries from the incident. An investigation is ongoing and anyone with information is asked to contact officers on 101. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 1:10 p.m. on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, officers were called to a report of youths causing a disturbance in the Main Street area of Coatbridge. There were no reports of injuries. 2 male youths, aged 16 and 14, were charged in connection with possession of a bladed article. A report will be sent to the relevant authority. Inquiries remain ongoing into the full circumstances and additional visible patrols have been allocated to the area. Anyone with any information can contact police by calling 101. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Amy Miles and it was read by me, Corey.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 27th of March 2025, from the lifestyle section. Glasgow restaurateur calls petition against bagpiper mural nonsense. Article written by Rosie Lewis. A restaurant owner has called a petition to remove a mural of a bagpiper nonsense and says he loves it. Mimo Rossi, who owns Bella Vita on Moss Park Boulevard in Cardonald, says he wants to make it clear he is not involved in any of this after a Facebook post about the petition sparked debate. The Glasgow Times reported a petition had been started by someone calling themselves a concerned citizen, calling for a mural on the corner of Paisley Road West and Moss Park Boulevard to be removed, saying it was hostile and provocative towards staff at Bella Vita. The restaurant sits below the mural, which covers 3 stories at the end of a tenement block and depicts a man playing the bagpipes in full Highland dress with a stag and Highland cow in the background. Mr. Rossi says he was in fact delighted when the artwork, which is part of the Cardonald mural trail, was started by artists of Dan McDermott of Sprewell Murals. He said, "This is all a lot of nonsense. I want to make it clear that we are not involved in any of this. I am very, very angry about it. We actually fed the artist. He came in for lunch and to use the toilets, and he's a fantastic guy. We were delighted to know he was doing the mural." Writing on change.org, the petition starter claimed the artwork is not a reflection of the surrounding area and is causing community tensions and upset. They wrote, "It is not lost on the public that a mural that is about Scotland and features a male prominent Scottish dress is right outside Bella Vita, an Italian restaurant that has been a much-loved part of the community for years. This mural feels hostile and provocative towards an Italian-owned business that has proudly displayed an Italian flag outside its door for years. It is imposing a very narrow-minded view of Scotland and a very stereotypical view, which again is not reflective at all of its surroundings." They also called on Mr. McDermott to apologise to staff at Bella Vita. However, Mr. Rossi says the mural is much loved by his customers, and even featured on an episode of Adam Richmond Eats Football, which saw the Man vs Food host visit Bella Vita. He continued, "We've been inundated with people and customers saying they love it. We've been very happy that everyone likes it. I've been here for 35 years. This is where I live. There's always 2 flags outside the restaurant, the Scottish and the Italian flags. People are saying it might be offensive to me because I'm Italian, but that's a load of rubbish. I love it. I wear a kilt myself with Italian tartan. I was born and bred in Italy, but I love where I live." The petition starter also claimed the mural is a major road safety issue, as it could be distracting for drivers, and demanded Glasgow City Council order it to be removed. At the time of writing, the petition is no longer visible on change.org, but it received less than 10 signatures in its first 4 days. An article was written by Rosie Lewis and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 27th of March 2025, from the lifestyle section. Hollywood animation company to open £28 million Glasgow studio. Report by Alistair Ferguson. A US firm that has worked on major Hollywood franchises has announced it will open a new animation studio in Glasgow, creating hundreds of jobs. Halon Entertainment, based in Los Angeles, said it plans to build a £28 million facility in the city, which they hope will create up to 250 jobs over the next 3 years. The US company has worked on franchises including The Mandalorian, Batman, Mission Impossible and the Planet of the Apes, along with the hit video game Fortnite. When announcing the plans, Halon said it was attracted to Scotland due to the skilled workforce and the world-renowned academic institutions. Culture Secretary Angus Robertson said it was a huge endorsement of the skills, talent and experience that Glasgow offers, as he welcomed the news. He added, "It marks a major boost for the digital tech, film, TV and games industries, reinforcing Scotland's position as a global hub for creative technology. Inward investment like this is a key driver of that growth and the cultural and economic opportunities that come with that, including hundreds of good, well-paying jobs." Founded in 2003, Halon creates animation for game cinematics, real-time visualization and virtual production for films, programmes and adverts. President Chris Ferriter said the new Scotland studio will help the company deliver exceptional work to even more productions across the world. He said, "With production happening across the globe, expanding our full-service studios on both sides of the Atlantic allows us to better support our clients with world-class services and top-tier talent, no matter where projects take them. Our new Scotland studio strengthens our ability to collaborate seamlessly across time zones and deliver exceptional work to even more productions worldwide. Scotland's screen industry generated £366 million in 2023 and employed 4,500 people, according to a report commissioned by Screen Scotland. Scottish Enterprise, National Economic Development Agency, is providing Halon with advisory services and £3.9 million of funding towards the overall project cost. Isabel Davis, Chief Executive Director of Screen Scotland, said, "We warmly welcome Halon to Glasgow. We are delighted that it's chosen Scotland as its UK base, thanks to the depth of our animation and visual effects talent across film, TV and video games. Scotland's globally competitive offer is backed up by the UK's recently enhanced visual effects tax credit, alongside a range of support from Screen Scotland." And that report was written by Alistair Ferguson and read by me, Ian. From the Glasgow Times, Friday the 28th of March 2025, from the lifestyle section. M&D's raises £1,000 for STV Children's Appeal at event. Report by Sidhaya Suresh. A theme park in North Lanarkshire has donated £1,000 to help children living in poverty. M&D Scotland's theme park donated the money it raised during its Destination Christmas event to the STV Children's Appeal. The event saw several festive family experiences and attractions. The funds will support the Appeal's ongoing mission to help children living in poverty. Jensen Taylor Connolly, Director of M&D Scotland's theme park, said, "The practical and emotional support the Appeal provides is really amazing, and we're pleased to be able to add that to the pot, which makes such fantastic work happen." Emma Jackson, fundraising manager at STV Children's Appeal, said, "I had the pleasure of going along to the M&D's Destination Christmas event and had a brilliant evening. It was a fantastic family event and we are so grateful to the organisers and guests for their donation of £1,000. Every penny will be used to support children and families that need it most across Scotland." Report by Sandhya Suresh, read by Ian McKenna.
This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 28th March 2025. From the News section. Former Strathclyde Student Union could be reimagined. Here's how. By Esther Tarnay. The former Strathclyde University Student Union building could be given a new lease of life. A planning application has been submitted to transform the site on John Street into the Charles Huang Advanced Technology and Innovation Centre. According to documents, the new facility would have a key role in cultivating and nurturing Scotland's innovation community, helping bring together researchers, academic administrators, entrepreneurs, public and private investors, and many other key stakeholders. This new site, part of the Innovation District, would provide space for collaboration which promotes innovation. The Student Union was opened in 1959 and has provided a space for university attendees for decades. Today's union opened its doors on September 10th, 2021. It sits within the Dame Jocelyn Bell Burnell wing of the new Learning and Teaching building located on 51 Richmond Street. Glasgow City Council planning officials are evaluating the bid and a decision is expected by Thursday, May 22nd. That article was by Esther Tarnay. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 28th March 2025. From the News section. Police task force launched to tackle retail crime in Glasgow. By Nicole Mitchell. A police task force has been launched in a bid to tackle retail crime across Scotland. The Retail Crime Task Force has been established following a £3 million funding allocation from the Scottish Government to address a rise in offences such as shoplifting and harassment of shop workers. The team is made up of 14 uniformed officers and detectives and 4 civilian staff, including specialist analysts and an architectural liaison officer. Uniformed officers will operate in Glasgow, Lanarkshire and Edinburgh as figures show they are experiencing the highest levels of retail crime, although other divisions will be able to request the assistance of the task force resources to deliver prevention activities and help stores protect their premises. Launching the Retail Crime Task Force, Assistant Chief Constable Tim Mayers said there is no excuse for shoplifting or behaviour which leaves shop workers feeling unsafe. He said, "There is no justification for retail crime and the theft of goods from stores, or the harassment and intimidation of employees is certainly not victimless. When such offences take place, it can have a significant impact on retail workers who then feel unsafe at their place of work. This is not acceptable." The establishment of the Retail Crime Task Force demonstrates our commitment to working alongside key partners and the retail sector to both prevent retail crime occurring, but to conduct thorough and professional enforcement activity to identify those responsible whenever it does arise. We know that enforcement alone cannot successfully reduce retail crime, and so the partnership approach to safeguarding stores and exploring opportunities to work collaboratively to address the root causes of such offences will play a significant role in the work of the task force. I am grateful to the Scottish Government for the funding allocation that has made this possible, and to the agencies who we will work in partnership with to reduce retail crime. On a daily basis, the task force will target repeat offenders of retail crime by using analytical data and intelligence to carry out proactive enforcement activities in areas most heavily impacted. Meanwhile, the architectural liaison officer will be engaging with retail premises to identify ways in which they can enhance security and crime prevention measures in place and reduce incidents occurring. As well as funding the task force, the money will be used to develop diversionary programmes aimed at reducing reoffending and youth offending, focus on enforcement in relation to repeat offenders and organised crime. Siobhan Brown, Community Safety Minister, continued, "I welcome this retail crime task force enabled by £3 million of Scottish Government funding in 2025 to 26. This is in addition to a budget investment of a record £1.62 billion for policing, an increase of £70 million on 24-25. Retail crime causes significant harm and disruption to individuals and businesses, and I am pleased that this task force will work to prevent this type of crime from occurring and to ensure that when it does happen, perpetrators are brought to justice." Speaking at a launch event in Edinburgh, Lucy Brown, Chair of the Scottish Retail Strategy Industry Leadership Council, added, "While we all know there's no silver bullet to resolve retail crime, we are very pleased to be here today to support the launch of this new investment. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with Police Scotland and the Scottish Government in the coming months, and to seeing the results of the investment." A dedicated shoplifting team was established in Glasgow city centre at the beginning of December last year, after 12 new officers were introduced to the city centre community policing team. Between December 1st, 2024 and January 8th, 2025, 49 people were arrested and taken into custody or charged in connection with retail thefts, with a total of 61 incidents recorded by officers in that period. The Protection of Workers Act came into force in Scotland in August 2021, making it a specific offence to threaten, to abuse shop workers. But despite this, the number of incidents has risen. The Glasgow Times previously reported, as part of our The Cost of Crime series, about retail crime that around 1/3 of retail workers are considering leaving the sector or know someone who has because of abuse and violence. The Union of Shop, Distributed and Allied Workers Union, USDAW, their 2023 survey of its members found many people want to leave retail because of incidents they are dealing with, from verbal abuse to physical attacks. Figures showed 70% said they had experienced verbal abuse. 46% said they were threatened by customers, and the percentage of union members who said they had been physically assaulted was 18%, up from 5% the previous year. Respondents were also asked what the triggers for violence and abuse were, with 61% saying they experienced it due to shoplifting, with the main factors for theft being the cost of living crisis and addiction. And 62% of workers said they had experienced incidents because a customer was frustrated, with main causes being self-service checkout issues and lack of stock or staff. Enforcement of the law, particularly related to alcohol sales, was also an issue for workers, with 48% of workers experienced that as a trigger, while 54% of non-white workers experienced racial harassment and 41% of women suffered sexism. That article was by Nicole Mitchell. This is from the Glasgow Times on Friday 28th March 2025, from the News section. W.H. Smith High Street Stores to rebrand as firm agrees to sale, by Anna Wise and Esther Tarnay. W.H. Smith High Street Stores will rebrand after the firm agreed to a sale. The company has agreed to sell its chain to hobbycraft owner Modella Capital in a deal valuing it at £76 million, and will eventually rebrand as T.G. Jones. The sale does not include the retailer's travel locations, such as shops in airports and train stations, nor the W.H. Smith brand. All the approximately 480 stores and 5,000 staff working for the high street businesses will move under Modella Capital's ownership as part of the deal. The estate, not including the travel locations, is set to rebrand as T.G. Jones, the company revealed. Carl Cowling, Group Chief Executive, said, "As we continue to deliver on our strategic ambition to become the leading global travel retailer, this is a pivotal moment for W.H. Smith as we become a business exclusively focused on travel. As our travel business has grown, our UK high street business has become a much smaller part of the W.H. Smith Group. High Street is a good business. It is profitable and cash generative with an experienced and high-performing management team. However, given our rapid international growth, now is the right time for a new owner to take the High Street business forward and for the W.H. Smith leadership team to focus exclusively on our travel business. I wish the High Street team every success." Glasgow has several shops, including on Suckyhill Street, Argyle Street, Glasgow Central Station and Glasgow Airport. That article was by Anna Wise and Esther Tarnay.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 31st of March. Bus drivers ballot on strike action in Glasgow over a pay offer. An article written by Gabriel Mackay. Bus drivers in Glasgow are considering strike action over pay. The Unite Union is balloting 500 stagecoach drivers across the west of Scotland region, including Glasgow. The union members have rejected a 4% pay offer for 1 year. The union said it would leave drivers amongst the poorest paid across the UK for stagecoach drivers. In a consultative ballot, members said that they would be prepared to take action up to and including strike action. The ballot on whether to move to strike action opens today and runs until April the 17th, with strike action likely in early May if no deal is agreed in the meantime. Action could halt stagecoach services across the region, affecting services operating out of several depots in Glasgow and also Ayr, Arran, Ardrossan, Dumfries, Kilmarnock and Stranraer, serving passengers across bus routes in Dumfries and Galloway, Ayrshire and Lanarkshire. Sharon Graham, the Unite's General Secretary, said, "Stagecoach West Scotland is a profitable company making money on the back of our members' hard work and long hours. The company can easily afford to put forward a fairer offer. If they don't quickly change direction, then any strike action impacting bus services will be due to them putting profits before people." The union said that Stagecoach Western buses had increased profits last year of £2.99 million, up from £1.3 million in 2023. Revenue also increased to £59.7 million, up from £50.9 million over the same period. Siobhan McCready, Unite's industrial officer, said, "Stagecoach West Scotland drivers deserve a fair rise that brings them in line with other parts of the business across the UK. The drivers are on one of the lowest rates of pay across the whole Stagecoach group. This is not an easy job, and the drivers deserve a pay rise reflecting the responsibilities and challenges of the role. If there's no movement on pay, then strike action will be inevitable, and that will be on the heads of the company." A spokesperson for Stagecoach West Scotland said, "We can confirm that pay discussions are currently ongoing with the Unite Union, and therefore we believe it's inappropriate to comment further at this stage during the process." An article written by Gabriel Mackay. Glasgow Times News on Monday the 31st of March. Glasgow parents say that they need a lollipop person at the school. An exclusive front page article written by Emily Moore. Furious mums fear that a child will get knocked down if they don't get a permanent crossing patroller. They're pleading for the role to be filled on a busy road outside a primary school in the city's Drumchapel. Their calls come after the last lollipop man wasn't replaced when he retired in October of last year. Now, the parents of pupils at St Clair's Primary say that they're worried a pupil could get knocked down as the school has been left without a lollipop person. Laura Curtis, whose daughter is in Primary 3 at the school, says that they had patrollers on Kinfauns Drive and on Peel Glen Road, but when the positions became vacant, no one came to replace them. Kinfauns Road is a 30-mile-an-hour road, and Peel Glen Road has a 20-mile-an-hour school zone limit, but later on becomes a national speed limit road. It's understood that one crossing patroller retired in October and another is off sick. Laura claims that it's scary watching some of the children try to cross the road. She said, "There are 2 entrances to my child's school, and at the one at Kinfauns Drive we haven't had a lollipop man for 5 months. The street where the children enter the school is 20 miles an hour, but they still have to cross a 30 miles an hour road to get there, and that road, Peel Glen Road, becomes a 60 mile an hour limit. We haven't had a lollipop man on Peel Glen Road for months, and recently the lollipop man on Kinfauns Drive retired because he said it was too dangerous and that he was having near misses with cars. It knocked his confidence. So we have none near our school at all." She added, "The nearest lights are a good bit away, and the way we enter there is nothing. My daughter is in Primary 3, and she needs me to cross her over the road. Cars don't slow down at all to let you cross. There have been children having near misses with the cars. It's scary." Another parent at the school, Nicola Grimes, says she fears for the safety of her children. She said, "In the morning it's absolutely crazy on the street, and we haven't had a lollipop man since October. I can't trust my child, who is in Primary 7, to get to school on his own, which he should be able to do, because of the drivers on these roads. There aren't enough people here to watch them. It's too busy a street. They drive like maniacs. The school can't do anything. We've been told that there's a shortage of crossing patrollers, and I get that, but it's not safe. We don't have a zebra crossing. We don't have anything temporary. There's nobody on this street." Laura and other parents at the school, along with Drumchapel Community Council, have contacted Glasgow City Council to ask for some help with the situation. The parent council at the school says that they have been told a crossing patroller is due to start on one of the roads after Easter. A spokesperson for Glasgow City Council say that they are receiving low levels of uptake in recruiting for the role and are working on plans to implement speed limit reductions on both roads. The spokeswoman said, "We're aware of safety concerns from parents and carers in the St Clair's learning community and are currently in the process of recruiting a new school crossing patroller for this area as a matter of priority. Sections of the 2 main roads by the school, Kinfauns Drive and Peel Glen Road, have been identified as suitable locations for a speed limit reduction as part of the new 20 miles an hour rollout, due to be complete by December 2025. This is expected to make our roads safer and to encourage more walking, wheeling and cycling. We continue to teach our pupils the importance of road safety, and a service review is already underway to look at alternative ways of recruiting school crossing patrollers, which have historically had low levels of uptake. An exclusive front-page article written by Emily Moore. Glasgow Times, Politics, on Monday the 31st of March. Holyrood by-election expected before the summer, following the death of an SNP MSP. An article written by Kathleen Nutt. A Holyrood by-election is expected to take place before the summer parliamentary recess, following the death of Government Minister Christina McKelvey. Ms McKelvey passed away last week, aged 57, after stepping back from duties last summer as Alcohol and Drugs Policy Minister to undergo treatment for secondary breast cancer. She died at Glasgow Royal Infirmary on Thursday morning. The SNP MSP for Hamilton, Lark Hall and Stonehouse had earlier this month announced her decision to stand down at the next Scottish parliamentary election in May 2026. Ms McKelvey had been an MSP since 2007, initially representing the Central Scotland region, before being elected as the constituency MSP for Hamilton, Lark Hall and Stonehouse in 2011. She held the seat in the 2016 and the 2021 elections. It's being reported today that the by-election to elect her successor succeed her as an MSP for the area is expected to be held before Holyrood stops for its summer break on the 28th of June. Ms McKelvey won the seat in 2021 with 16,761 votes, beating Scottish Labour's Monica Lennon, who got 12,179 votes, and third-placed Scottish Conservative Megan Gallagher, who was third with 6,332. While MSPs across the political divide begin to come to terms with the loss of Ms McKelvey, parties are gearing up for the by-election. Comparisons are already being drawn with the Rutherglen and Hamilton West Westminster by-election in October 2023, when a comprehensive Labour victory handed the party priceless momentum heading into its general election triumph the next summer. Hamilton, Lark Hall and Stonehouse is seen as a bellwether seat, and whatever happens there will give some indication of how the parties will fare at next year's Holyrood election. Most see the SNP as the early favourites to hold the constituency, with Labour support nose-diving since Sir Keir Starmer entered number 10. Senior Labour figures told the Sunday Times newspaper that the seat is winnable. A straw poll on the streets of Hamilton for the paper showed an unusually high number of undecided voters, with those settled on a party evenly split between the SNP and Labour. Observers will also be examining how Nigel Farage's Reform Party will perform in the by-election, with polling suggesting that the party could win between 10 and 16 seats in Holyrood in May next year. Candidates have yet to be selected by the parties. Gavin Keat, a young Labour councillor for Hamilton South, is seen as a possible local candidate ready to take the leap onto the national stage, while local SNP councillor Ross Clark is a possible contender for his party. Other potential candidates for the SNP may include Dion Hossack, who worked for Ms McKelvey, and former Airdrie and Shotts MP Anum Kazar, who lost her Westminster seat to Labour at last year's general election. In 1967, Winnie Ewing won the Hamilton by-election, famously declaring, "Stop the world, Scotland wants to get on," in what's now seen as one of the most important victories in SNP history. 11 years on, in 1978, a 32-year-old George Robertson, later NATO Secretary-General, took the seat for Labour, beating the SNP candidate Margot MacDonald. During her time in Parliament, Ms McKelvey served as convener of the European and External Relations Committee, and later the Equalities, Human Rights and Civil Justice Committee. In 2023, she was appointed Minister for Culture, Europe and International Development, before being named as Minister for Drugs and Alcohol Policy in February last year. She recovered from breast cancer in 2021, but was diagnosed with secondary breast cancer in June. In August, she announced that she would be taking medical leave. Her death was announced by her partner, Keith Brown, the SNP deputy leader. In a statement, Mr Brown said, Christina's sons, Lewis and Jack, and I are heartbroken to announce the death of Christina at Glasgow Royal Infirmary. An article written by Kathleen Nutt.
This is an article taken from the lifestyle pages of the Glasgow Times, published on Monday, the 31st of March. It's written by Morgan Carmichael. A musical legend is coming to Glasgow's SEC Armadillo. A musical legend is performing in Glasgow as part of a special upcoming UK tour. Smokey Robinson, best known for songs like Cruisin' and Being With You, will be performing at the SEC Armadillo on the 3rd of July. The show, which is part of the 85-year-old's legacy tour, will be Smokey's first in the UK in a decade, and will mark 50 years since the release of his 1975 breakthrough album, A Quiet Storm. Smokey will also be joined by special guests Kiki D and Carmelo Lugeri during the tour. Speaking on the upcoming shows across the UK, Smokey said, "I always love performing in the UK, it has been too long. These special shows mark the 50th anniversary of A Quiet Storm, an album that is truly special to me. So whilst I want to honour that record, and those amazing times, this will also be a celebration of everything that has come before, and we will be performing all the hits. It's been over 10 years and I cannot wait to return in July 2025 and entertain all my UK fans." Tickets for the show are now on sale, and can be purchased by visiting this website, www.sec.co.uk. That article was written by Morgan Carmichael. This is an article taken from the lifestyle pages of the Glasgow Times, published on Monday, the 31st of March. It was issued by the Glasgow Times news desk. Warning issued for those hoping to see Andy Murray on stage. Fans of Sir Andy Murray have been warned not to buy tickets from touts for his stage shows. The tennis star's gigs, where he will share stories and secrets from his career, sold out in minutes. Tickets originally priced at £35 are now being sold online for up to 18 times their face value. Tickets for his show at Glasgow's SEC Armadillo on June the 18th are now being sold for between £284 and £475. Promoters have urged fans not to buy from touts. ATG Tickets said to the Scottish Sun newspaper, "Tickets can't be sold for profit. Please don't purchase from a secondary website." The former world number 1 retired last summer, after reaching the Paris Olympics doubles quarterfinals with Dan Evans. He has promised to discuss pretty much anything in the centre stage shows, hosted by BBC commentator Andrew Cotter. The tour includes 2 dates in London. Sir Andy said, "After I retired, I wanted to try some different things. I don't think a tennis player has done anything like this before, so it felt like a great challenge for me. I haven't stepped on a tennis court for a long time, so hopefully, my fans will enjoy seeing me in this new setting." That article was issued by the Glasgow Times news desk.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 31st of March. Nearly half of Scots worried about affording energy bills, a poll reveals. An article written by Sandhya Suresh. Nearly half of Scots are worried about affording energy bills, a poll has revealed. Ahead of Ofgem's latest price cap rise, a Survation poll for Advice Direct Scotland found that 46% of people are concerned about paying for gas or electricity in the next year. This comes as households prepare for the impact of the Ofgem price cap increase. From Tuesday, the 1st of April, the cap level will rise from £1,738 to £1,849. This 6.4% increase will push the average bill up by £111 per year, which is £711 more than bills were before the energy crisis in autumn 2021. Advice Direct Scotland, which runs the energy advice service energyadvice.scot, is urging those struggling with energy-related debt to contact its team for free advice. The charity is also encouraging Scots to submit meter readings before midnight on the 31st of March. Accurate readings will stop suppliers from estimating usage and applying new higher prices to energy consumed when they were lower. People unable to submit readings before the 1st of April should do so as close as possible to that date. Those with smart meters should ensure that the device is working. Taking a photograph of the meter reading could help resolve any disputes. Conor Forbes, Policy Director at Advice Direct Scotland, said, "It's been a really tough start to the year for thousands of Scottish households, and this poll shows that worries about the cost of energy continue to prey on people's minds. Unfortunately, things are going to get even more difficult this week as the Ofgem price cap rises again, heaping further pressure onto already stretched household budgets. The most important thing to remember is that nobody should struggle alone and that help is available. Anyone experiencing difficulties should visit www.energyadvice.scot or call 0808 196 8660. 0808 196 8660 for assistance. The Advice Service provides free, impartial and practical energy bill advice. An article written by Sandhya Suresh.
This is a column taken from the opinion pages of the Glasgow Times, published on Monday, the 31st of March. It's written by Mike Daly. Glasgow City Council should build its own public housing again. Should Glasgow City Council build its own public housing again? I'd argue yes, on the grounds of powerful social, economic and ethical imperatives. It's a long time since the council transferred 81,400 council homes to the Glasgow Housing Association on the 7th of March, 2003. Since then, it's been hogtied by its policy of relying upon a mixture of private and social rented sectors to meet statutory homelessness duties. 13 councils have now declared a housing emergency in Scotland. Even the Scottish Government declared a housing emergency in May last year, while figures for last year revealed that the number of affordable homes built had dropped by 7% to 19,797. Private house builders completed 15,066 new builds and started construction work on 11,617 homes last year, down 12% from 2023. The number of new homes started by private builders last year was the lowest in 12 years. Councils and registered social landlords completed 4,731 homes in 2024 and started work on 3,433 properties. Research by Shelter Scotland, the Chartered Institute of Housing, and the Scottish Federation of Housing Associations found that in order to meet our housing shortfall, we need to build at least 37,100 social homes between 2021 and 2026, or 7,420 a year. Actual social housing completions since 2009 have averaged at 50-56. In 2021, the Scottish Government said it would build 110,000 new homes by 2032. This target includes homes for social rent, mid-market rent, and low-cost home ownership supported under the Affordable Housing Supply Programme. The Association of Local Authority Chief Housing Officers doesn't believe that this target will be met. The association points to an overheated and overpriced private rented sector. The sector is shrinking, which in the association's view creates the space for growth of the social rented sector through active acquisition of landlord portfolios. We need to shift about 150,000 at risk of homelessness, low-income households, out of this sector into social housing. Having a substantial social sector just makes things better. How might we meet this challenge? I'd wind down the loss-making Scottish National Investment Bank and reallocate its capital expenditure to Glasgow City Council for house building. The Scottish National Investment Bank isn't a bank. It's a pot of taxpayers' cash that loses money. Last year, it lost £14.6 million. In 2023, it lost £20.2 million. It costs a disproportionate fortune to run. The bank's capital allocation in this financial year was £181 million. The council could build 1,000 new homes with that budget every year. If it utilised economies of scale, you might be able to hit 1,500 homes in the first year, lever in matched funding and aim for 3,000 homes each year. Scotland's Housing Network's Development Value for Money report examined the cost of building homes in 2023 to 2024 for 9 local authorities and 13 housing associations. Councils built 620 homes, with social landlords accounting for a further 642. The average cost was £196,600, an 18% price hike from the £166,500 average cost the year before. The bulk of properties were 1 or 2 bedroom homes, and construction was typically on a small project size. It's over a century since the landmark 1924 Wheatley Act, legislation from the Glasgow Shettleston MP, John Wheatley, the Minister of Health, which saw 500,000 new homes built by 1933. It's surely apt to return to the vision of John Wheatley for Glasgow in 2025. A column written by Mike Daly.
Glasgow Times News on Monday the 31st of March. Thousands raised for a Scot in critical condition following a gas explosion. An article written by Morgan Carmichael. Over £11,000 has been raised for an East Kilbride man who is in hospital after a suspected gas explosion destroyed his bed and breakfast in Italy. The Glasgow Times previously reported that Grant Patterson, who's 54, is being treated for third-degree burns across 75% of his body in Sant'Eugenio Hospital in Rome. STV News reported that doctors were due to perform a skin graft on Grant's damaged skin and that he's currently breathing with the assistance of mechanical ventilation. His condition is believed to be critical but stable. It comes after Grant arrived in Rome for a holiday on the 17th of March, when a blast destroyed the bed and breakfast he was staying at on Sunday, March the 23rd. Roberto Gualtieri, the mayor of Rome, said that initial findings suggest the explosion may have been caused by a gas leak. Now, a crowdfunder has been set up to raise money for Grant's daughter, who appears to be in Italy with her father. The fundraiser was set up on Just Giving recently and has already raised over £11,150 at the time of writing. The person who set up the fundraiser wrote, "I'm fundraising money to send Grant Patterson's daughter to help with any costs while she is in Italy with him. Please keep him in your thoughts. Love you, big guy." A Foreign Office spokesperson said, "We are supporting the family of a British man who has been hospitalised in Italy and are in contact with the local authorities." An article written by Morgan Carmichael.
From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 1st of April 2025, from the news section. Former soldier caught with explosive device in Cambuslang. And this article was written by Grant McCabe. A former soldier caught with an explosive device has been jailed for 4.5 years. John Carstairs, 44, was held after an army bomb disposal unit was called to the scene in Cambuslang on November the 15th, 2022. The potentially harmful item consisted of a tube with nails, firework powder and a fuse which could have sparked the device. Carstairs was today sentenced at the High Court in Glasgow. He had earlier been found guilty after a trial in Paisley of a charge under the Explosive Substances Act, as well as another of culpable and reckless conduct. One claim Carstairs had made was that he had certain items to make a large firework for his child. The indictment stated Carstairs made or had in his possession the explosive during a car journey between his home in the city's Carntine and in Cambuslang. The court heard he went on to be spotted acting suspiciously in the dark some distance from where he stayed. It eventually led to the Army's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team being scrambled from Edinburgh to deal with the device. Sentencing, Judge Bruce Eric, KC, said the actions of Carstairs appeared to be premeditated. He jailed him for 4.5 years for the more serious charge under the Explosives Act. Judge Eric imposed a concurrent 2-year term to run alongside that in connection with the other offence. And that article was by Grant McCabe. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday, the 1st of April 2025, from the news section. Glasgow schoolgirl grabbed by man in terrifying incident. And this article was written by Ben Waddell. A Glasgow schoolgirl was grabbed by a creep before he fled the scene after being chased by a hero lollipop man. Police were alerted to the terrifying incident on Hill Street near St Aloysius College in Garnet Hill at around 9:35 a.m. on Monday, March the 31st. The force revealed they received a report of a man grabbing a 16-year-old girl in the area. Cops raced to the scene. A manhunt is now underway to track down the culprit. An investigation into the alarming incident has also been launched. Following the distressing situation, the school emailed parents and carers to make them aware of it. They said the 16-year-old the man grabbed was an S4 pupil at the private school. The email, which was shared with the Scottish Sun, read, "We want to make you aware of an incident that took place near the school on March the 31st. At around 9 a.m, an individual not connected to our school acted in a threatening manner towards one of our S4 pupils on the street. Thanks to the vigilance and quick response of our crossing patrol and janitorial staff, the situation was swiftly handled and the matter is now with the police. Most importantly, the pupil involved is safe. We want to reassure you that this was an isolated incident and not directed at our school community. As a precautionary measure, we have reminded all staff to be extra vigilant during arrival and dismissal times this week. We understand that events like this can be unsettling. If you have any concerns or questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch." A spokesperson for Police Scotland added, "Around 9:35 a.m. on Monday, March the 31st, 2025, police received a report of a man having grabbed a 16-year-old girl in Hill Street, Glasgow. Police attended and inquiries are ongoing to establish the exact circumstances of the incident and trace the man. St Aloysius College has been contacted for comment." And that article was by Ben Waddell, read by me, Caroline. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 1st of April 2025, from the news section. Grandad attacked at Celtic v Hearts clash over pro-Israel badge. And this article was written by Rosie Lewis. A man was attacked during a Celtic match over the weekend. An investigation was launched after the 54-year-old was assaulted during Celtic's 3-0 victory over Hearts on Saturday, March the 29th. Reports have said the attack came as the grandad was wearing a pro-Israel badge that he got from a Glasgow Friends of Israel stall. The man was checked at the scene and did not have to go to hospital for treatment. Police have confirmed that inquiries are ongoing. Glasgow Friends of Israel posted a statement on X saying, "A grandfather was assaulted by two thugs at the Celtic game yesterday because he was wearing a pro-Israel badge he had collected from our stall. Like many thousands of Celtic fans, he supports the football team but is against terrorism." A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "Officers are investigating the assault of a 54-year-old man during the Celtic v Hearts match on Saturday, March the 29th, 2025. The man was checked over at the scene and did not require hospital treatment. Inquiries are ongoing." And that article was by Rosie Lewis. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 1st of April 2025, from the news section. Rapist subjected 4 men to abuse in Kirkintilloch and Paisley. And this article was written by Ava White. A rapist who subjected 4 men to a catalogue of abuse, including sexual violence, has been jailed. Mantas Vanagas was given a 14-year extended sentence with 10 years in custody at the High Court in Edinburgh on March the 31st. He has also been added to the sex offenders register indefinitely. It comes after the 27-year-old from Milton Keynes was found guilty of 4 charges following a trial at the High Court in Paisley on November the 26th, 2024. Vanagas targeted one former partner at addresses in Kirkintilloch and Paisley in 2021. He uttered derogatory remarks towards the man, threatened to harm himself, refused to leave the home, and made alarming remarks about rape towards him. On one occasion, Vanagas pushed the man on the body, causing him to fall onto a bed. He then seized him by the neck and choked him. The abuser was also found guilty of biting the man on his neck and throwing a shoe at him. Vanagas was convicted of sexually assaulting 2 other men and raping a third while he was asleep and unable to consent. The offending took place over the course of 16 months. Non-harassment orders banning Vanagas from contacting or attempting to contact the 4 victims were granted for an indefinite period. Katrina Parks, Scotland's Procurator Fiscal for High Court Sexual Offending, said Mantas Vanagas is a dangerous and predatory individual who showed no regard for the well-being of the victims. It is thanks to their bravery in coming forward and reporting their experiences that he has been held accountable. This prosecution and conviction sends a clear message that this type of offending has no place in society. I would urge anyone who has been the victim of similar offending to come forward and report it. You will be listened to and supported as we use all the tools available to use to seek justice. Police Scotland Detective Inspector Raymond Sagan added, Vanagas is a dangerous individual who now faces the consequences of his despicable actions. We know how difficult it can be to report these types of crime, and I would like to commend his victims for their strength in coming forward during the investigation. Their information was essential in helping us build the case against him, and I hope this outcome provides them with some sense of closure. If anyone has been the victim of abuse or a sexual crime, please report it. We have detectives dedicated to investigating such offences. You can be assured that you will be fully supported by officers and our partner agencies. And that article was by Eva White. From the Glasgow Times on Tuesday the 1st of April 2025, from the lifestyle section. Wizz Air passenger labelled pathetic for packing 20 kilogram weights. And this article was written by Joshua Sell. This petty holidaymaker was slammed as pathetic for taking 20 kilos of gym weights on his flight just to get revenge on the airline over their fees. Rob Adcock says he was booking a day trip to Poland when he noticed Wizz Air's flight from London Luton Airport only offered a ticket with a 20 kilogram baggage included. The 31-year-old light packer claims it's unfair he was forced to shell out £266 for the ticket, so decided to take a stand and fill his allowance in the pettiest way possible. Viral footage shows him loading gym weights into a reusable Sports Direct shopping bag and struggling to load it onto the check-in scales. Rob says he was irked and annoyed by the lack of booking options, so the stunt made him and his pal laugh. The pair were visiting Krakow, Poland, to watch a football match and returned home the following day. Content creator Rob hopes Wizz Air bosses see the video and are persuaded not to charge people for something they don't need in future. Many users took to the comments to praise Rob for his pettiness, while others branded him pathetic for inconveniencing staff. Wizz Air says the basic fare, which doesn't include hold baggage, was only available as part of a Wizz Air package or bundle, but that Rob didn't choose this option. Rob from Stoke-on-Trent, Staffordshire, said, "I'm quite a petty individual. Just the idea of paying for something that I was never going to use just really irked me, and at the time I didn't need it. That's what annoyed me. When we were booking that particular flight, it made us have the luggage. It said it ran out of a certain amount of seats without luggage, so you had to have the 20-kilogram luggage. I've never experienced this before. We didn't need that level of luggage. There was no use for it whatsoever, and there was literally nothing I could have taken that could have made it worthwhile. They know exactly what they're doing. They probably knew I wasn't going to need it, and I assume they just hoped I would buy it because I've got to buy it and then not use it. We thought we'd do it in a shopping bag just to make it as petty and pathetic as possible. It was a bit tricky to drag across, to put it on the oversized baggage to put on board. I didn't know if they'd let them on, to be honest. No one batted an eyelid. We're both pretty pathetic people anyway. It made us laugh. If they were just clear and straightforward with their pricing policy from the beginning and don't charge people for something they don't need, we wouldn't have any of the hassle. That's firmly on Wizz Air's shoulders, not mine. It wasn't about upsetting the staff. It was more about making a point to the airline company that they shouldn't really be charging people for something they don't need. Rob's TikTok, which has more than 670,000 views, was captioned, "You're that petty, you've checked in 20 kilograms of weights because Wizz Air made you pay for hold luggage you didn't want or need." One commented, "My hero." A second user said, "I love this level of pettiness." A third user said, "Checking in a shopping bag is the absolute best." However, other users branded Rob's pathetic for inconveniencing staff members. One user said, "Absolutely pathetic, poor Wizz Air staff." Another user said, looks like you inconvenienced yourself significantly more than them." A third user said, "Punishing the employees for the rules made by higher management." A Wizz Air spokesperson, "As an ultra-low-cost carrier, Wizz Air aims to provide passengers with affordable and flexible options for travel. Given the peak travel period when the passenger made the booking, basic fare was available with bundle combo, whereas the customer chose to purchase with Wizz Go. Like many other ultra-low-cost carriers, our tickets are subject to dynamic pricing and based on demand. We always encourage all our customers to book as far in advance as possible, especially when booking during peak travel periods, as was the case for this passenger, to ensure they can secure the lowest price possible." And that article was by Joshua Searle.
The Glasgow Times on Wednesday the 2nd of April 2025. From the news section. Fire crews tackle ongoing hillside blaze at popular walking spot. This article has been written by Amy Miles and it's being read by me, Corey. Fire crews have been battling a hillside blaze since yesterday evening. 4 fire trucks rushed to the area near Jaws Reservoir, West Bartonshire, reported at 5:29 p.m. on Tuesday, April 1st. The fire service found a well-developed fire on moorland involving heather and grass between Kilpatrick Hills and Stockymuir Road in Mulgai. Firefighters had to request assistance from an additional 2 crews to help fight the flames. No injuries have been reported. The crews at the scene last night were relieved for safety. 2 crews have since returned to tackle the ongoing fire this morning. Pictures taken from a distance show an orange glow coming from the hills. A Scottish Fire and Rescue Service spokesperson said, We were alerted at 5:29 p.m. on Tuesday, April 1st, to reports of a fire in the open between Kilpatrick Hills and Stockymuir Road in Mogai. Operations Control mobilised one appliance to the scene and, on arrival, crews found a well-developed fire on moorland involving grass and heather. Firefighting crews requested a further 3 pumps to support them. 2 pumps are still in attendance as of Wednesday, April 2nd. That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Amy Miles, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Wednesday the 2nd of April 2025. From the news section. Sainsbury's plans to open new Glasgow store suffer setback. This article has been written by Drew Sanderlands, and it's being read by me, Corey. Sainsbury's plans to open a store in a major Glasgow housing development have suffered a setback. The supermarket chain launched an appeal after council planners rejected its bid to make changes to a ground floor unit in an almost 500-flat complex at Anderson Quay, managed by build-to-rent operator Platform. The dispute surrounds alterations to 3 sides of the retail unit: the removal of doors to the south, the fitting of a cash machine to the west, the installation of louvres to the north and west. Louvres, slats which can regulate airflow, were planned to allow for plant inside the store to be ventilated. But council officials decided the louvres and the loss of glazed windows would unacceptably detract from residential amenity. They also said the plans would be significantly harmful to good placemaking. Councillors on the city's local review committee upheld that decision on Tuesday. A separate appeal over a rejection bid for adverts on the side of the store was submitted to Scottish ministers. That appeal was also dismissed and the consent refused. Council planners reported the combined effect of the work and adverts would result in a dead frontage over 75% of the west elevation. They added, the resultant impact on visual amenity and provision of passive supervision at a critical location on the principal pedestrian entrance from the riverside to the emerging new development would be significantly detrimental to local placemaking. Originally, it was expected the ground floor of the building would be used by smaller shops with their own entrances. However, the appeal submitted on behalf of Sainsbury's said it was the only operator interested in the retail space. It also stated the installation of plant on the rooftop had been investigated, but there is insufficient space in the building's internal ducting for Sainsbury's operational requirements. Sainsbury's argued, without the proposed louvres, the store's proposed plant and ventilation would not be able to function. Without that, the store would not operate, and it is likely the units will remain empty. Vacant units contribute negatively to placemaking. The firm claimed no louvres would obscure visibility to the main southern side of the unit, fronting Anderson Quay. It added the western side of the building is somewhat secondary and likely to carry less pedestrian footfall, while the northern elevation is largely hidden from public view by the security railing for the residential dwellings. The appeal continued, the changes are proposed to facilitate the occupation of the unit with a quality retailer providing a meaningful range of everyday convenience goods which will ensure local residents can meet their top-up shopping requirements locally. However, Councillor Paul Leinster, SNP, said, I think a company the size of Sainsbury's, with the resources they have, can go away, and have a think about it and come back with a solution that works better for the residents and the general amenity of the area. Councillor Ken Andrew, SNP, the committee chairman, added, "I think there probably is a need for a supermarket in this area, and we're not against that as such. I think there are some general issues with what we have in front of us. We are not just able to grant permission." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Drew Sanderlands, and it was read by me, Corey. The Glasgow Times, on Wednesday the 2nd of April 2025. From the news section. Sainsbury's issues product recall due to metal contamination. This article has been written by Amy Miles and it's being read by me, Corey. Sainsbury's has issued a recall for one of their popular chocolate bars over fears of metal contamination. Customers have been urged to return any Taste the Difference Belgian milk chocolate honeycomb pretzel bars with the batch code LIS 9SL22. That batch code again is LIS 9SL22 and a best before date of April 2025. The supermarket giant said this is due to concerns that the product may contain pieces of metal. This potential contamination makes the product unsafe for consumption. Customers who have purchased this product are advised not to eat it and are urged to return it to any Sainsbury's store for a full refund. The Food Standards Agency has issued its advice to customers, saying, "Our advice to consumers. If you have bought the above product, do not eat it. Instead, return it to the store from where it was bought for a full refund." For more information, please contact Sainsbury's Careline team on 0800 636 262. Sainsbury's has confirmed that no other Taste the Difference products are affected. The supermarket has apologised to customers for any inconvenience caused. Product recalls are issued when there is a problem with a food product that means it should not be sold. The FSA issued product recall information notices to inform consumers and local authorities about problems associated with food. The supermarket issued the recall titled "Important Safety Warning" on April 1st. The full statement reads, "Sainsbury's is recalling the above product from stores due to the potential presence of metal fragments. If you have purchased the above product with the affected batch code, please do not consume this product and instead return it to any Sainsbury's store for a refund. For any further information, please contact Sainsbury's Careline team on 0800 636 262. No other Sainsbury's Taste the Difference confectionery products have been affected by this issue. We would like to apologise for any inconvenience caused." That article was from the Glasgow Times. It was from the news section. It was written by Amy Miles, and it was read by me, Corey.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service.